Hello learners, you are most welcome to our second lesson. And I'm going to take you in a subject CRS. And our topic today is effects of greed, or greed and its effects. Now we can find this story in the book of 2 Kings chapter 5 from verse 1 to 27. Now on this very topic, we have two topics. We have King Ahab and Naboth in the land of Israel. And in the story, you'll find out that the king demonstrated greed. And the second story is Naaman that was healed in the land of Israel. But today we are going to take the second topic, which is the healing of Naaman. The healing of Naaman. Now you tend to see that we cannot explain the story of Naaman without greed. So the story of Naaman is very, very important, because at the tail end of it, you will see how greed was demonstrated. Now, before we go on, I want us to see the meaning of greed. Greed. Now, greed is a selfish and excessive desire for the good things of life, or the urge to acquire things beyond one's normal due. Now, if one is greedy, you have to be very, very busy. You have to try to see you get things that does not belong to you. And in the process of trying to get all these things in a wrong way, it leads us to something. So let us see what greed does. If you are greedy, what are you out for? What is going to affect your life? So if you are greedy, it can lead you to murder or kill. Because if you don't have it, you try by all means to get it. In fact, you can even pay somebody to kill that person that you've seen him with something. And you see, like students, particularly those of you that are in the boarding houses, when you happen to see a friend or a mate with a lot of provision, you tend to see that you go and be a friend to that person, or while students are in the class, you can tell a lie. You can go to the matron, you can even get a paper, sign falsely that it was your teacher that gave you, that you should go and give her, the matron, to open the dormitory for you so that you go in and pick an exercise book that you forgot. But the purpose of you going to the hostel is to go and pick that thing that does not belong to you. So it can lead you, greed can lead you to steal. So in the process, you can just pick that thing, pretending that you have been asked to go and pick your exercise book and you ran out of the hostel. So greed can even make you to tell lies. Now, a lot of you students that are in the science classes or home management, a teacher might ask you to bring 2 naira or 200 naira so that you contribute and make some practicals. But before you leave home, you calculate your lies in such a way that parents will not give it a second thought and say, mommy, our teacher said we should bring 2,000 naira. And she said, in fact, if we don't take this money, we should dare not enter her class. In fact, we should not even go to school. And you see, mommy, who wants you to actually go to school, will go and borrow. And you can make false claims. Now, what greed does, it leads to murder or killing. It leads to lies, false claims, false accusations, and so on. Now, as a student, you should be able to tell your parents the truth. If you want to visit a friend and the friend is in another place, you should tell your parents exactly where you are going instead of telling them lies. Because by the time you get out of the house, if anything happens in that area, parents should be able to know the direction where you have gone to, rather than running here and there, trying to find where you have gone. So, telling lies is not good. Let us not be greedy in telling our parents lies in order to get what we want, the way we want to live, not to the glory of God. Now, in this story, the story of Naaman, the army commander in Syria. Naaman was an honorable and great man in the eyes of the king of Syria because God had used him to win many wars. He was a mighty man of valor, yet a leper. In one of their wars, an Israelite girl was brought as a captive and made to serve as helpmate to Naaman's wife. Now we tend to see that Naaman was a great man. He fought so many wars. And you tend to see that with the words he was using, he was bringing peace to the land of Syria. And so that made the king to love him so much that he honored even Naaman. And you find out that in the process of their war, they happened to capture a girl, an Israelite girl, and they brought her home, that is in the land of Syria, and she was to serve as a slave. But this girl was so vigilant, was so careful. This girl held on to her God. So by the time she saw that her master was a leper, she was not happy. And she did not keep quiet. She was so bold, so much that she went and told the wife of Naaman that, look, if my master can go to Israel, I know he will be healed of this leprosy. So, when the wife told Naaman of the good news, because it was a good news, because Naaman was so important, he was so rich, and we cannot imagine seeing Naaman as a leper. And I know they must have tried in so many ways to get him healed, but it was not possible. So, Naaman, by the time he got the good news about his healing, he went and told this good news to his king. That was the king of Syria. Now, when the king of Syria heard of Naaman's intention, he too was very, very happy because of the love Naaman had for him. And so, the king told Naaman that he was in support of his going to to Israel for his healing. And he did not only support him like that, but that he was going to give him an introductory letter to take him to Syria, so that in the process of trying to find where he can get the house of the king or whoever, nobody will embarrass him. Nobody will harass him. So the king actually gave Naaman this introductory letter. Now, what was the content of this letter? What did he write in this letter? The content of the letter was that the king, when he read the letter, he found out that the king of Syria was ordering him to heal Naaman of his leprosy. It was so alarming to the king of Israel. He couldn't believe this, and he was not happy. So he felt that the king of Syria was looking for his trouble, because he said, is he God that he can heal? What was actually the reason why the king of Syria had to rise. So he was actually looking for his trouble. So what did he do? He did not only stop there, but that he tore his clothes in annoyance because of the contents of the letter. Now, by the time the man of God, who was the prophet in Samaria, that was Prophet Elisha, when he heard what had transpired between Naaman and the king of Israel, he too was not happy, but what did he do? He had to send for Naaman to go to his house. Now, by the time Naaman heard that the man of God was calling him, he was so excited. Why was he excited? He felt that the man of God was going to pray for him, move his hands upon the affected areas of his body, and he will actually be healed. So he went. By the time Naaman reached the house of the prophet of God, that was Prophet Elisha. Students, you have to be careful. We have Prophet Elijah and we have Prophet Elisha. So this one that healed Naaman was Prophet Elisha. So by the time Naaman went to Prophet Elisha's house, he couldn't believe what happened again. And what was it? Instead of Prophet Elijah to invite him right inside the house, or to come out of the house to see who was this Naaman with this kind of disease, what he did was that he just sent his servant, go and tell him that he should go to the river Jordan and dip himself 7 times. Naaman was not happy. Why? Because he felt in Syria there were better rivers. The rivers in Damascus, the Abama rivers, the Pharpar rivers were better than the river Jordan. So he couldn't believe what the man of God told him. Just go and dip himself. He was annoyed. And in that annoyance, he didn't stop there. He told his servants that they should go. And let them just go back home. Because he can't believe the treatment the prophet of God was treating him. And mind you, before Naaman left Syria, he picked some gifts, 10 talents, silver, and clothing, so that by the time he was healed, he would be able to appreciate the man of God, or whoever that must have done the healing for him. So, when Naaman was told to go to the river, he told his servants that they should go back home. And they started going. Because he didn't just say it, he meant it in his heart. So when they started going, his servant said, "Sir, what if the man of God had told you something more difficult than this? Won't you do it?" That was when Naaman had a second thought and humbled himself. Now, you see, it takes humility to do what people will actually recognize with you. It takes humility to get what you want. Students out there, mom could be selling Irish potatoes or sweet potatoes, and you as a graduate, you feel, how can I go under my mommy and sell this kind of a thing? And you don't know, mommy must have been using the money out of what she used to get from the market to pay your school fees. And you don't know that when you even finish or graduate from your school, in fact, you can go into such trading in order to earn your living. So students out there, you need to humble yourselves. You need to actually behave the way you can be able to get what you want, not carrying yourself so big. You see, if Naaman had considered his level in Syria, he wouldn't have gone back, or he wouldn't have even listened to what his servants were advising him to do pertaining his healing. So with that, Naaman went to the river Jordan as he was told by Prophet Elisha. Now, on reaching river Jordan, Naaman actually dipped himself in the river for good 7 times. And the Bible recorded that at the 7th time that Naaman dipped himself in the Jordan River, the body of Naaman was like that of a baby. His body was restored. Another thing was that under the results of obedience, because if he had not obeyed, he wouldn't have been healed. Now, the second thing was that he went back to Prophet Elisha for appreciation, but the man of God refused to pick even one of the items. He brought out all that he wanted to appreciate him with, but Naaman told him that he should go in peace. To even touch those things, he didn't. He told him that he should just go in peace. And his servant, Gehazi, was there looking at the costly and beautiful gifts brought by Naaman. And his master refused. It wasn't easy with Gehazi. So what did he do? Now, by the time Naaman presented his gifts and the man of God refused, he made a request. He requested for one thing from Prophet Elisha. What was his request? He requested for 1 mole of sand, and he was granted to even go for 2. That is sand that would be enough for a donkey to carry. He wanted to carry this earth or sand to the land of Syria. And not only that, Naaman, when he found that he had been healed and his request was even granted to him, what did he do? He made a promise. What was his promise? He promised not to worship idols anymore, but the God of Israel. What made him to make that swift decision? He was healed. The man of God related well with him. Even the gifts he went with, the man of God refused to collect. So students out there, we have to be very careful the way we live our lives. Don't be that greedy to the extent that when you visit a friend, you make an attempt of taking away some of our clothing or perfumes or anything. Just thank God for the level he has taken you to. Thank God for whatever your parents have been able to give you. Don't be greedy. Now, how greed was demonstrated by Gehazi. You know, I told you that greed can lead you to tell lies. And Gehazi, the servant of Prophet Elisha, was into such. What did he do? When Gehazi saw the gifts that his master refused to collect, Gehazi, went after Naaman. He thought of collecting at least a few from those things. So what did he do? He ran after Naaman, after he must have left for a distance. Now, by the time Naaman saw him coming, he came down from his chariot to attend to him. He said, "Is it well?" And Gehazi said, "Yes, he's well. But my master just sent me that I should collect a talent and 2 changing clothes, because he just got some servants from the company of prophets, and he wants to use those gifts to give to them." Naaman had gotten his healing. What will he do with those things? So he immediately said, instead of 1, give him 2. And give him the 2 changing clothes. So by the time he gave Gehazi those things, he did not allow him to go alone. He asked 2 of his servants to escort Gehazi. Now, knowing fully well what he had done, Gehazi, at a time, by the hill country of the land, he collected those gifts from those servants and told them not to bother, let them just go back, because he had a plan. And what was his plan? He never wanted his master to know what he had done. So what did he do? He went and hid these things in his house and came back hurriedly to his master. And the master asked, "Where have you been, Gehazi?" Remember, if you are truly a man of God, a prophet of God, a servant of God, God can always relate with you. God can always tell you what will even happen before that person goes ahead to do it. So the man of God knew the tricks of his servant Gehazi. So he asked him, "Where have you been?" And he said, "I've not gone anywhere. I've been around." He said, "Oh, I was there in the spirit when you were collecting those gifts from Naaman." So you tend to see that he sabotaged his master. He told lies against his master. And the end result of it was bad. And what was it? The man of God pronounced punishment for Gehazi, and he said, "May the leprosy of Naaman come over you, not only you, but even your descendants." And immediately, Gehazi was covered with leprosy. So students, don't go ahead to do some things, bad things that will make your parents, your relations, and your friends to be ashamed of what you have done. Be careful. If you are asked to go and give somebody anything, make sure you give that person a whole of what you have been given. Do not try to enrich yourself by taking away some amount or dividing that in almost to 2 or 3 times before you finally submit. So, my students, before I step down, I have an assignment for you. And question 1A says, give a detailed account of the healing of Naaman and point out how Gehazi was greedy in the story. 1B, write 4 lessons to be learned from the story. In case you want to reach me for more details or for